indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vicki, would you be so kind as to do roll call?
I would love to. Mr. Welper.
Here.
Darcy. Here. Nikki Miller's here. Danielle. Here. Eric.
Here.
Brandon.
Here.
Paige. Here. Lindy. Here. Wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any agenda adjustments? Mindy? Okay. Do we have any announcements? June is going as I expected. All right. Any community input? The trend continues. Any student board member report? Of course not, because they're gone. All right. All right. Board member reports. Darcy.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Darcy. Nicole.
Negotiations continue. That's it.
I think they've been going quite well.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a nice discussion we've had.
Yeah.
Danny.
We had our first activities committee tonight, and so good start on that. So we look forward to hopefully building that as it's kind of starting fresh. So.
Okay.
Great.
Very good. Mr. Morgan.
I attended my last graduation. Well, where a Morgan child will be. Somebody have his salt.
Yes.
I feel like I need to sacrifice a chicken now.
Is there a health scare coming here?
No, but it went smooth. The sound system worked much better this year than last year. So thank you for a smoothly run event.
Okay. Very good. Brandon.
I also attended that graduation. It was great. That's all I got.
Paige.
I attended the district-wide staff development meeting. Wally was there today, so he got to see that. And it was, 2 hours, Jeff? So it was a big one. I wasn't there the whole time, but we're just planning for back to school. And Jacob can fill in for the parts I wasn't there. We're still planning the training that the teachers will do for the back to school, trying to get that organized, and we're going to have another meeting in July, another 2-hour meeting. Lots of stuff.
Thank you, Paige. I have no other updates, just with the negotiations with the teacher. So we can move on to the administrative reports. Jacob, high school.
Yeah, so as Eric mentioned, we had graduation. We have one every year. He will be at that one next year as well. But sound system, that was thanks to our 2025 Friend of Education, Mike Ernster. So those are his speakers. He came and set them up and everything else. So we thought they would work better, and we're glad to hear they did. Other things, we had kind of 3 big building goals this year at the high school level. One of them was increasing our career and college readiness, and we did, I think, about triple the number of off-site opportunities for our students this year. Whether that was a formal career exploration, an industry tour, visiting colleges, things of that nature. So big jump there. We also did some in-house stuff as far as every month, every grade level met with our school counselor and had a targeted lesson specific to their grade. So for example, 9th graders start of the year, it might be GPA. Seniors, it might be how do you find a job. So very different lessons for those groups. And then we also had the job shadow experiences that we did for all of our seniors and about half of our juniors that went very, very well. So we're continuing all of that next year and trying to do it a little bit better than we did this year even. So that was one of our big goals. Behavior consistency was another one, making sure that every teacher handles a situation the same way, which that's always tough because you have obviously very different human beings. So we spent a lot of time working on that. That'll continue to be a focus because that's always just something you got to keep addressing. But we had a lot of fun at staff meetings talking about different scenarios and what would you do if. So those were kind of fun. And then the last one was overall building safety. If you remember way back to September this past year, we did our first evacuation drill of the secondary building in almost 2 decades. So We're gonna continue with that practice as well as getting better with our responses within the building as well. So those were kind of three big things that we did as far as goals this year. Right now we're doing a lot of trying to hire spots. We got 2 spots left. We have a building and trades position and a social studies position. So those are the 2 we currently have open at the high school level. Hoping to have those filled within the next few weeks. We had applicants for both spots. Just a matter of kind of going through the process and figuring out if they're the right fit.
Great.
Applicants, more than one?
More than one for the social studies level. Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
Any questions for Jake?
I have a question. Are there any vacancies that you have not gotten applicants that the board could assist with sharing out publicly to help get some applicants?
The only 2 we have right now are those 2, the building and trades and social studies. So, building and trades is always tricky.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have the right person. But, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Jake. Middle school.
Well, I get to start out by saying congrats to the middle school staff and Leslie Pellinger and the PBIS team for being named an exemplar school, PBIS school for next year. Super happy for them and their hard work over Leslie's last 3 years, but just the work of the entire building as well. So we needed to share that with you. We continue looking at our staffing. We have 2 left to fill. We have the music position, and which is a 0.5, as well as a para position. And we're working on our speech and language pathologist position as well. So that's the couple of shared ones as well. I thought it's important for you to know too that we had 15 teachers request summer curriculum writing hours, which is awesome. Just whether it's SEL implementation, we have some tweaks to our STEM program that Ms. Barnhart's going to be looking at, that I've talked about throughout the year. Health and PE, we're looking at a little bit different model for that as well, looking into next year to shake that up a little bit. And then also like our intervention for 5th and 6th grade is going to look a little different as well, so they need some time for that. And again, more SEL planning for that stage as well. READAC updates, that's another piece that I think K through 12 we're going to be looking at, that we've had conversations with BILTS about, looking at next year and what the state mandates are in regards to how we respond if the students don't make benchmark. And that means that all of those students that aren't at the 40th percentile will be given a dyslexia screener. So I think all of us are like talking about with our building leadership teams, how is that going to fit? Where are we going to make that work? And how do we respond? Because even if they don't have dyslexia, we still need to document K-12, what interventions we're doing to help those students to make benchmark in reading. And again, the other piece too, with that is our action card. So it looks a little different, obviously, at our elementary and middle school level due to the number of staff that we have in letters training. And I know we bring that up just to make you aware almost every month, but it is an ask. However, our action cards, aligning with the strategic plan, having to do with communication. Our family communication got a lot of positive feedback. However, we are looking at ways to really improve that, make it better, and that's going to be part of our work for next year. Our staff communication, a weekly communication from me went out to them as well, including, so they knew what went to parents as well. So everybody knew what communication. The postcard, we did that a little bit more this year too. And then the evening with the Lancers, as you all know, I talked about at our last meeting. And then training and intervention. That was the second action card item that we had looked at. Again, that's the letters training for half of our staff. And then looking at, we implemented an MTSS, if you will, at the 5-6 level, but just was really tough to get in given the structure of their schedule. So we were able to switch up our master schedule for next year a bit, really starting with that shared music position to see if we can get a choir person in that will be vocal music, both paired with a full-time position paired with that elementary position due to the retirement. Then it allowed us some opportunity to take a look because they've done the same schedule for a very long time. So we were able to put that in, and that again will be something we'll look at for next year too. The new ELA curriculum, that was part of our action plan because that again takes time for staff to sort through, look through, and hope that aligns more with our MCA standards that Minnesota state standards, and that they're tested on. And then Lancer Lane, 5th and 6th grade had an after-school intervention program too, and we're looking at ways to make that better, look at that data, and see where maybe those pieces are that are missing that we can maybe improve upon in that area. But they did an awesome job with that as well. And then of course, MTSS. That's something that is ongoing. I think any district that I've been in, and I think we're really trying to, what does that system look like in a lot of districts all over the state when they're looking at academic progress. Of course, we prioritize our PBIS, but with a positive school culture, we should have some really great results academically as well. So that piece we're continuing to do that too. So that was part of our action plan, and I believe the changes that we made this year at that student success tier 2, talking about students that need a little more intervention outside of what we already offer, got better. And again, how can we make that even better for our students to be more successful and get the support they need? Let's see. End of the year celebrations. We had a lot, that balance. There's staff that had projects that last few weeks, and then we had staff that were able to continue to implement curriculum that was a little more business as usual, but some of those projects take a little bit longer to grade, right? So that balance, I feel like, was there with the middle school, incorporated into all the fun activities that they were able to do as a class, field trips and so on as well. But it was a pretty great end to the school year. And then finally, just to share our fast bridge screening from fall to spring. And I think it's important that we share that 80% is what we shoot for benchmark for our kids. And we had a lot close. 5th grade reading, 73%. 6th grade reading, 90%. This was fall. So spring, right around that 70% still, went down just a bit. That can mean just a few kids, right? When you're talking about a class size of 70 to 80. You can do that math piece. But in 6th grade, it was right around 90% in the fall and 88. So really good in terms of meeting benchmark. In 7th grade, improved from 71 to 76% in reading. They stayed about the same in 8th grade. So we saw some really steady, not as much decline. However, I think as they get used to implementing those interventions, which I think we've had some newer teachers at some of our levels, and then our schedule just at the 5th and 6th grade level didn't allow us that opportunity to really, as much as what we're looking at improving it for next year. So, and some of the things in math that were good, they're actually in math, we're all in 6th and 7th, we're right around 80 or above. And again, we had implemented a resource this year that you may not be aware of. It's not a curriculum, but a resource that allowed some just a scope and sequence in terms of implementation from the start of the year to the end of the year. And we did see some good things from that, although we'll be looking at that curriculum next. That would be the next thing, because I think they're looking for some, I think our K-12 is looking at, or K-8 is looking at an opportunity to improve that as well. And we have new math standards coming. So overall, I feel like we constantly hear the MCA data, which isn't always great, but we're making steps to help align our curriculum with that, with the Minnesota state standards, but also looking at ways that we can help our students be more successful with just our academic vocabulary on the MCA test. That I don't know that that's ever been an intentional focus. So my belt also knows that what are some things that we're shooting ourselves in the foot with, so to speak, and not just those opt-outs, because we didn't have very many. So I'm done.
Thank you for that.
Heather, can I ask a
Yeah.
question? With the Fast Bridge, which is elementary and middle, do you have a goal together, like a, elementary and, because I think well, and we'll talk about this, but like at Houston, we did not meet our goal, but they did K to, they did elementary and middle school. So I didn't know if you combine those two, like and do an overall, like we do K to 8. So
We had a very similar goal, and we
Okay.
really missed it by a short. It was like,
too.
and no matter what, it's like, I asked staff, how can I help, how can I support that piece? And I think it's just those, when you're talking about, again, in Houston, 1 or 2 students, 3 or 4 students, it can be really difficult. And I could probably look at those average scores, share them with you and be like, oh, I know what happened with that. We make kids take it over. It's,
Well, so, and with the special ed kids, my students refused to take it. They would start it and never finish. And I kept trying, because it'll affect their scores. So, and then one more question. What was the curriculum intervention you said you used for?
the intervention or,
You said you used, to help prepare them, like was it Lexia?
we've used Lexia, IXL,
Okay.
and then the Fast Bridge interventions as well.
Just the Fast Bridge. Okay.
All 3.
Okay. That's what that's what I was.
It's just the time in the school day was the difficult part. ELA
Right.
did have that, so we saw a little bit better results in the reading area because we had a block, but we still, they were all teaching it. So we're hoping that our goal next year will
You're
be
doing
better.
exactly what IXL, Lexia. Okay. Thank you. Yep.
Any other questions?
Oh, thank you for that.
Piggybacking on that same word, vocabulary, that's the missing skill that we're needing to focus on at the elementary school. We've made a lot of gains in the basics of literacy, the phonemic awareness, phonics, and we've been intentional about including intervention for that. So we've seen that growth. Now the next step in the progression of reading proficiency is vocabulary, then fluency and comprehension. So we're building towards that, and so that's the next step is vocabulary. We've talked about that at our building-wide data meetings that happened after our spring assessments. Kind of what you're talking about, Paige, is do we have a goal? We're always chasing that 80th percentile because that's when we know that a curriculum and instruction isn't effective. Our building goal was to achieve 73% and some growth from fall to spring. We fell 4% short of that. We're sending on some fourth graders onto you at the 80th percentile. There are celebrations in the building. We're seeing some growth. We've got some work to do to make that consistent K-4. The additional curricular resources we're implementing, one of them is called UFly, University of Florida Literacy Intervention, and that is a little bit more fast-paced than one of our other interventions, so we're looking forward to having that implemented in our K-1 friends. They're doing the summer learning and work, so that's supported by our staff development as well. Our action card goals need some work. We've got a building leadership team planned for that, and I shared the resources with my team for that. Our goals are to improve literacy instruction, and that's where we're receiving the letters training that's supporting that instructional piece, and staff are looking forward to finishing that out next year. The second goal is improving what's called Tier 2 and Tier 3 systems, meaning what are we doing to help the kids that need a boost, and making sure we're delivering research-based interventions both in small groups and individually for the kids at the top of the pyramid that need the most intensive intervention. So we had monthly meetings to focus on that and partnered with other experts that help us build our system there for behavior and academics. The other piece, we are celebrating that our third year, we're exemplary by measure of the Minnesota Southwest PBIS and MDE. So we're glad to welcome our middle school friends along with that. And so it's the third straight year of that, meaning we've achieved fidelity of implementation of positive behavior interventions and support. So that's a big celebration. And we're halfway through our ambassadorship, which is kind of a prestigious ability for us to share with other schools or welcome in college students, pre-service teachers, to help them learn what's working at our school and help them be better prepared to be future teachers. So that goes for another fiscal year. And what else do I have for you? I'm deviating, I guess. I went to a standard response protocol training, which is what we're trying to do is standardize our. They did an evacuation training. You know, we're not quite at the place where we're going to evacuate the whole elementary school, but we've got some work to do to make sure that our staff know what the plan is in the event of an emergency. So we had a kind of a soft rollout with that. I've received some additional training just yesterday on that, and so I've got some more resources to share with my staff so that they're feeling more confident in the event of an emergency, you know, something beyond just a fire drill, right? So I've got the tools now to help with that. End of the year was a lot of outdoor learning and celebrations, and there it is. So we partnered with the middle school, and through our PBIS funds from our exemplary, it comes with a little stipend to help support that. So we put those funds towards a reward for the kids, along with our PTO helping us support that, and then some other things to celebrate that you can certainly read as we continue to move our system forward.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Any questions for Jeff? Okay. Yeah.
All right, well, it is Community Ed's busiest time of the year. Everybody else is winding down their years. We're really ramping up. So this summer, we've got Summer Kids Company off to a great start. We have 239 individual children registered this year, up from 218 last year. At the end of the year, I forgot to attach a video in here, but a highlight was we had 95 kids after school on our last day of Kids Code, the day before the half day, and we quietly surprised Sue Weigel for all of her years of service to Kids Company. She's obviously worked there for longer than most of the clientele had been born, so that was a lot of fun for her to say goodbye. With Summer Rec is also off to a great start. We've got 302 participants this summer signed up for the new to us Summer Rec programs. I just came from our first T-ball games this evening up on the north end at Old Hickory, off to a great start. Tell you what, yeah, if you want to get together and meet some of the younger families in the district, that would be a great place to come hang out Wednesday evenings here for the next 6 weeks. It was packed. People had to walk a long way just to get there. It was wild. Grandparents and all sorts of neighbors, all sorts of people there. It was a lot of fun. Still going on now through the 7 o'clock game. I realized I accidentally deleted one of my whole paragraphs here, but our youth enrichment programs are also off to a great start. Some of our, we have all of our repeat favorites, but some new ones we brought in this year. We have Hiking of the Driftless that just wrapped up last week. That was led by 2 of our Drifting Driftless adult hiking group members, Bonnie Lyman and Patty McAllister, stepped up and offered that program for us, and it was an amazing opportunity for a bunch of kids to get out there and hike. Hopefully, Jacob had a son in that, I believe. Hopefully he enjoyed it. We have a new Spanish instructor teaching a camp next week, and Mrs. Sebo has been doing a mystery-filled reading adventure here for the last 2 weeks. So those were some of our new highlights for youth enrichment. Adult enrichment, also going pretty well. We've the past couple weeks, we've discovered that we no longer have our regular community ed instructors available to teach summer aquatics classes. In the past, we've had, Janelle Lee always taught our H2O fitness. John Lamb has taught them over the years. Shannon Adams, lots of people that we've had throughout the years. We no longer have that, so we've been having to recruit lifeguards. Same goes for Parent Swim. Cindy Reichelt taught it for a number of years, and now we've had to really just recruit lifeguards to run those classes. So we've already talked with the city, and we're just going to hand those programs over to the Aquatic Center for next year, so that makes a lot more sense for them to be running it since we're using their staff to do it anyway now. So that's a change that'll be forthcoming. And I did also report here on work on the revised budget for current year and what we're looking for next year. I'll save comments to Julie will be presenting here in a little bit. So that's where we're at. Thank you.
Any questions for Ben? Okay.
Thank you, Beth.
You guys are not sitting in the way my roster. Okay. So, Patrick.
So, last Monday, I think was the night, they unloaded the truck for the Seton Field press box. The pictures down below don't show it just because they already got it all framed up and it's pretty well underway. The high school classrooms, as you can see, the ceilings are all tore out. They're starting to put the grid in now in some of the classrooms. They haven't started putting lights up yet. We've got to get the grid in first. And then ceiling tile grid.
Like all the.
Like right up here.
Oh, okay.
Where the ceiling tiles actually sit.
They weren't in there before, or?
Well, we're getting new ones. Oh. Because the other stuff was a little bit dingy and old and like that. Yeah, water soaked, stains. We're gonna replace the lights. We might as well make it look right. That's them unloading the lumber for the press box. Summer's pretty much underway for the custodial staff. They're in classrooms, moving furniture into the halls. They're painting, deep cleaning some classrooms. They've already started doing some floor stripping and put a couple layers of coats of wax in 3 classrooms already, so they're well underway on that. We did have another custodian put his resignation in. His last day is next Tuesday, and in the report it kind of states why he's leaving, so that's about it.
So how many are we going to be down to now? Or how many are you down now?
Starting August, we'll have 2 part-time, and as of now, we'll have 4 full-time. So we're down 3 to 4.
Okay. Any questions for Pat? Okay. Coach?
All right, the biggest one here is Brooklyn Mitchell won a state shot put title.
Woo!
Really cool, even though Heather was getting on me
You
because I predicted it.
You don't do that.
And I knew she was going to.
She threw it
She was
her
trending that
last
way.
one.
Super proud of her. That does not happen very often. So.
Did she beat the person who won state last year? Is that what I heard, or is that true?
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, there was one
So
person in Minnesota and 2 in Wisconsin. No,
one in Wisconsin.
one in Wisconsin.
That threw further than her at state in all divisions, and 2 in Minnesota, but only she had the furthest throw. No, so
One was in.
yeah, one was in the prelims.
She's a junior. She's a junior,
Yes.
and
One
honestly,
year.
she
Under
is
her
nowhere close to her ceiling on this.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
She just
in
started.
my opinion, she's a Division I.
And is anyone who knows how to throw a shot put talk to her yet, or?
Yeah, no, she got Jeff
Well,
did
I
a
mean-
good job this year. No,
Well, I mean, that came out just really bad. No, she did it without any coaching.
you know what I mean.
No, we really don't.
This was only her second year in track.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's my point.
Okay.
She's new to the
New
sport.
to the
and-
sport, and she's that good. Okay.
She took second last year, right?
No, 6th or 4th.
But she's still podium.
Yeah, 4th last year. So, like, it really is a tremendous honor. It's cool for our school, cool for our community. And, congratulations, super proud of her. I called her on Jeff Dickinson and I got her on the phone. I'm so proud of you. She goes, I'm so proud of myself. So I said, you should be. That was.
Any colleges showing interest in her?
Not yet, but this just kind of happened. So
Okay.
I'm going to guess that we'll put some stuff. I'm going to help put some stuff together and we'll reach out because there's going to be some.
Yeah.
She's going to have some opportunities.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Our spring, we just wrapped up. We had some really successful seasons. On top of Brooklyn, we had another athlete, Aurora Cabot, qualified in the 100 and 300 hurdles, and she's a freshman, so she did a really good job up there.
Our baseball team finished with a 17-5 record. They won the conference title, the Three Rivers East title. So did softball with a 17-7 record. Baseball got hot just a little too early this year. And they were really, really hot at the beginning of the year. And then our boys golf also won the Three Rivers Conference title. So we got three plaques for those three teams there. And girls golf finished with a really solid season as well. We're in the process of our coaching evaluations of our surveys getting back. Most of them are back. Most of them are done. And we've started meeting with some of the coaches on that to go celebrate our good things and work on any gaps we have. Homecoming this year is October 3rd, so it's set and ready to go. We do have, during that week, Monday, I think girls soccer plays, Tuesday, volleyball and girls soccer play, and Thursday, volleyball and boys soccer. So we got a lot of home events that week too, which is good. And it's the week before sections for girls soccer. One thing that's not on here, but Jenny LaRue and I have scheduled a soccer game with Providence Academy, which has Chad Greenway's daughter. It'll be a good game. If we want to be we talked, if we want to play, if we want to be the best, we got to play the best.
Yeah, you will be.
So the opening game is against Providence Academy, who was the state champion last year. And Maddie Greenway is like the top basketball player maybe in the country, or one of the top basketball players in the country. So it'll be kind of cool there. And Chad Greenway's a former linebacker for the Vikings, so they'll likely be down here. So what's that?
Is he a Bison or
Iowa?
No, he played at Iowa. He's from South Dakota.
Okay.
Yes. It's not on here, and I don't know why, but we're actively looking for hockey coaches. And the hockey coach that we still don't actually have an applicant, but we've been reaching out, and we did have somebody come in last Friday and had a good talk, so I'm kind of hoping that he makes a decision to apply this week. Kind of a big shoes to fill there. And both Uriah and Justin, the two coaches from last year, are helping that search and the transition period. So they're still running all the summer stuff as we speak right now. And I'm hoping that this person seems like a pretty good candidate, and hopefully we can get that person on board to start off. And then lastly on here is it was not a sanctioned sport, but we're running kind of through our school. We had our community ed did all of our signups. Our flag football team got second in the state, lost to a very good Matamidi team. The girls, super proud of them because they took a chance on something that did not even exist, and they went out and they showed out pretty well for our community. They've got a lot of publicity out of it. We actually ended up with our girls swept our conference, our district players of the year with Savannah, offensive player of the year, and Abby, and then Eve Cody was our district's quarterback of the year. And then at the state level, Savannah was the offensive player of the year, and then at the time I wrote this wasn't on here, Abby Ernster was the defensive player of the year. So our girls, been listening to the coaches as they're voting on this, talk about our whole team was really cool, and not just those two. We have a ton of girls that are really, really good.
That's great.
Really, really cool. And if Abby didn't get that, the defensive player of the year, Darcy's oldest one, Gracie, was right there on the stuff that she did as our rusher. So it was really fun to see. And then if you go down just a little bit, they have a picture. All the girls that made the finals, us and Matamidi, got a pair of Oakleys from Oakley. So I don't know what that is, but that's a nice little gift that they got. And I seen the 7th grade girls. Next year's 8th grade, but the 7th grade girls were playing. There's a bunch of them that played on this team, and they were playing softball on Saturday, and they all had their Oakleys on. So
love it.
So that was cool to see.
Jerry, I have a question. Do you know how Trap did?
Trap got second, yeah. Or they had one. The girl got second. They were 4th overall, I think.
Wow.
And I just got that in my email, so it's not on there. But I just talked to yesterday.
And that girl, she's young. She's 7th grade.
She's a 7th grader. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and their top boy is also Tommy Reese, who's in 8th grade, they're gonna be 9th grader. So their top two were middle school kids.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
And Tommy missed one shot, otherwise he would have been right up there at the top as well.
So fun, yeah.
Thank you, Coach. Any questions for Terry?
Thank you, Terry.
All right. Superintendent update.
Okay, so basically, the majority of the superintendent update is what happened at session and where we sit. And so if you go in, you can click in. This is about Friday, Monday is when this started coming out. So you can go in here and there's the session slides that will go through and highlight what we found in each area. There's a couple of different things that are going to impact, and I'll write up more on those as we move forward. One of the things that will directly impact the school board is they changed the open meeting law. And so now you don't have to do a 3-day notification if a board member is going to be virtual, and board members can be virtual. You're just going to need to be cognizant of what the appearance is of that, because we've had some where you could see the kids in the background, or dogs or grandmas, or going through the background. So that's, ideally you want to be here, but so this is, if you just go through here, I'm not going to read it all to you, but there's key legislation in here. It'll just sum up everything. If you are not a person who wants to read 38 slides like that in the deck, you can hit the bottom one, which is the session recording. And there's an hour recording where MSBA and MACE talk about what's going on.
I have a question, Mindy, regarding that open meeting law. Is it still required to have video recording on YouTube? Like, is there a reason we have to video record our meetings?
We don't. It's not a statutory requirement.
Okay.
But it makes it difficult once a board has chosen to start doing that. You have to have a legitimate reason why we're going to go away from that. Okay. Because we've set it up as kind of a community service. Okay. And really, that's the majority of the report was just going through there. I was at the flag football. It was wonderful. It was just so much fun to watch the girls, and they were so excited. And I really thought for a while that they were going to pull out the win with Matamidi. But so that was great. Just doing that and wrapping up. I'm hoping to have district office contracts done by the end of the 30th of June. And we've just met on negotiations, and we're talking about some different things that we can do there. And the finance that went through was 274 in the first year and 2 in the second year on the formula. Huh?
Didn't they say 3?
I think it's 2. I was told
2.74.
2.74
Yeah,
and then 2 the second year.
So they said 3.
And that, so. I ended it on a boring note.
Any questions for Mindy? Okay. Education Minnesota has taken the month off.
I guess I just want to comment that I did put the slides out to the staff like middle of May, and I had 2 slides total from everybody because I think they were just ready for summer.
Yep.
So
That's okay.
That's fair.
Well, who were the 2 slides from so we can recognize them? Who did that? Who went above and beyond?
in first grade.
Preschool and first. Okay. Oh, there. Thank you. Well done.
And then one other thing I wanted to share. Today was our last day. We had a 3-day restorative chat training in the media center. Karen was able to attend, and so were three other people from the district, and it was so great, so amazing. It was lovely, and I'm excited to use several different practices from that training in my teaching practice. So it was very great.
Okay. Questions from the far table? Thank you.
Thanks, Val.
All right, review informational items, budget update.
All right, let's talk. We did a little revision.
Is this okay size, you guys?
No, can you make it,
Which one do you have left?
The
One
first
more.
budget update.
Should we just talk about budgets?
Can we
Or
get
talk
one
about-
bigger one more time, Lindsay?
oh, okay.
Are we talking about
There we go,
updates or
thank you.
budgets?
Well, I just pulled
Just
up the
pick
first
one and start.
I just
Okay,
picked up budget
well, I'd
update.
say that those have been in there and you guys can look at those, so I think we should talk budgets.
Okay,
If
yep.
that's all right?
Thank
Okay.
you.
So let's talk revised budget 2. We're doing a little revision for FY25 and that up here for a few reasons. Number one, Beth did a lot of work in the community ed budget, and we were at, for Rev Bud 1, we were at 246,888 deficit spending. She has that brought down by 103,564, so now we're at 143,324 deficit spending. She went through all of the expense lines and all of the revenue lines, and we increased revenue by a little over 103,000. So we're at deficit spending 143. So she cut that in half. So that was amazing. And then when we get into adopted budget for FY26, you'll see that she did even more. So that is one reason we wanted to have this revised budget. And then for the second thing for the revision is you'll note on the general fund, we had that we were going to be coming in about, sorry, I'm going to do a slide over there, about 279 deficit spending. We've trued up all of our revenues and trued up all of our expenses, and we are sitting at 43,000 for our Rev Bud 2 for deficits, 48,000, I can't read, for deficit spending for our general fund. So those are two areas that we wanted to change on this one before the end of the year. Again, still a budget, so still best estimate. When audit's done, it will we'll adjust the first column in our adopted budget for the different journal entries that they may do, but we should be pretty close to this. And then if we go to FY26 adopted budget, I want to talk a little bit more about this, spend some more time there. So notes to have for the FY26 adopted budget. We're losing about 400,000 in revenue, and we're possibly gaining about 150,000 in expenses. Our expenses are mostly coming in possible salary and benefit increases. Otherwise, we're pretty much holding steady on all of the purchase services, equipment, supplies as best we can, unless they come in with huge increases in their prices, then of course that'll change. So the revenue loss is based on enrollment loss in 2025's levy has corrections from 2023, so it's always 2 years behind. And so 2023's ADM were reported too high in what's called ADM WE. We have two programs that track our ADM, MARS and ADM WE. They don't talk to each other. They're both state programs. They don't talk to each other, which is a whole other thing of ridiculousness. But so they both have to be updated. And ADM WE was reported too high, so they gave us too much money in 2023. So then in the 2025 levy, which affects 2026 budget, they take that back away. So total taking away was about 400,000. Local optional revenue tier 1 was 88,000. Local optional revenue tier 2 was 127,000. Equity 15,000. Reemployment 13,000. Safe schools, CTE, LTFM adjustment 57,000. QComp adjustment 7,000. Capital 3,000. Total of 315,000 that they took back. They are taking back from us in FY26 for paying us too much in FY23. Good news is that then in FY27, our levy should go back up. But in December, when the board approved the levy, I mean, that max was lower than the year before. And so now we know exactly what lines are lower. And those are the lines that I just read.
So how do we keep that from happening again?
Great question. I'm glad you said that. We already set into place last June, a year ago, when I realized those ADM numbers were not correct and looked to see who was updating it, nobody was updating it. So we have put in place in the
Who's
district
supposed
office.
to update it?
What?
Who is supposed to update
So
it?
we put it in place in the district
Assistant to the
office
superintendent.
that
Okay.
the assistant to the superintendent will be updating it, and she has been. So we will look again at the end of June to make sure it's updated, then it'll be September and then December again.
In your other districts that you work for, who does that?
Superintendent or the superintendent's secretary. Or assistant, in our case, we call him the superintendent's assistant.
Sure.
Yep.
Now, this is kind of a big deal.
Oh, it's a huge deal, absolutely. Yes, and that was back in 2023 is when it was.
So when did we find out about this?
I caught it last June, a year ago.
A year ago.
Yes, so saying that, FY24, we should not have as big of an adjustment because those numbers
Yeah.
should be closer to what the
Oh, I
actuals
understand.
were.
It would have been nice to have known about this sooner. But thank you for telling us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it was when we approved the levy in December, that was a lower maximum. So
No, I
there-
know, but I would have liked to
Okay.
have been told that there had been a $400,000, you know.
Yeah, so those numbers just, came out in this, when we're doing this.
I
Oh.
understand completely what
Oh,
you're
okay.
saying, but it
All
just,
right.
it irritates the
Yes.
Jesus out of me that
I
we
totally
do our
understand.
planning on, and we
Mhm.
come up with budgets, and we come up with plans, and then through no fault of our own, well, through our own fault.
Yes,
Now it has to
unfortunate, we had
change.
2 major areas that went through transitions for 6 or 7 years in a row.
Again, I'm not interested
Yeah.
in hearing excuses or, you know, I'm just venting.
So go back to now 2027, then how do we, this is becoming made right, we get more back? What were you saying with that?
No. In 2025 levy, the adjustments for 2023 happen because they're always 2 years behind. That affects FY26 budget.
Okay.
So I found it in that in 2024, fix the whole year of 2024. So then 2027 will not be affected the way 2026 is. Because 2027 is based on 2024 numbers that hit the 2025 levy, which hits the 2026 budget, 2027 budget.
And can you just recap too, when we discussed this at the end of the year, in December, when we reviewed that, didn't you already report that?
Yes.
I thought so, she did tell us.
She did tell us?
Yes.
I did not tell you in detail. I told you the max was
That-
lower.
That there was a
But
levy
now we have the
discrepancy.
detail that every,
So 53 students were basically,
yeah,
if you take 400,000 divided by 7,500, rough math.
it would be about between 11 to 12,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So per student. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I had taken too much cough syrup at that meeting.
That's okay.
But now, what I did not report these specific, all these dollars like I am right now, because I wanted to make sure I had every single one of these
She was
dollars
still in
down
the
to
middle
let
of
you
it,
know
right.
what
I
exactly
thought
every one of them was.
And the audit doesn't happen until October, right?
Audit will happen in, I'll start in August and September. So,
But it always seems like it doesn't end up being completed until November or December. Can we get it?
And that is correct because we had a later audit with a different auditor that did things very old school. Last year we switched auditors, so it was a brand new auditor that had to start from scratch. So it did take a long time.
Yeah.
So I am assuming, it's an assumption, that
Ooh, we
this
never wanna
year,
assume.
I know, right, knock on wood,
Yeah.
that this year should be going a little bit smoother because we already have had them for 1 year.
Do you think we could be proactive and reach out to them and ask to start the process sooner so we could have the audit done before November? Just so,
To have it at October meeting,
yeah.
I will see
I
if
mean,
they
that
can do
would
that.
be awesome.
Yep.
To have everything.
And I think actually that would be doable for them because the later it gets on is the more issues they have because everybody pushes.
Right.
So I would think asking for it sooner would probably be something they would agree to, but I don't know, but I will ask them.
I mean, what do your other districts do?
I pushed one to October so we could get it done. The other ones are December.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But I'm switching one auditor in another district, so I'm gonna get it sooner. Because I like to do it sooner too, so.
Well, yeah. I don't wanna be needy, but
Go for it.
That's a respectable request.
Yeah, and I will ask, absolutely, I have no problem doing that. That helps in my timeline too, so.
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Absolutely. And I don't want you to think I was making excuses. That is not what I meant by that. I was just, when you said it was no fault of yours, I wanted to reiterate that I agree. We were in unfortunate times where we went through a lot of different people. And so I was just agreeing with you when I said that. Interest, I brought that down. We don't have as much money to earn interest on, and our interest rates are not going to bring us as much money. So I brought that down about 100,000. Our aid did go up 163,000. It went from 2% to 2.74, and then this other part's part of the levy. Then if we talk overall, so then if you show the FY26 budget. Yep. So we're going to go down to the ugly line first, which is the 534. Up a little bit. Up. Yep, right there. So
Right
total general fund, we're deficit spending right now, very preliminary FY26 budget because we have a lot yet that is happening. I mean, there are some things that aren't in here, like we were just told they're cutting library aid by 20,000. We were just told that unemployment is now covered 100%, but they took it from special education transportation, so that reduction's not in here. I mean, there are things that are not in here. So the total deficit spending is $534,295. What I did was try to put as much of the deficit into our restricted funds. So, for instance, using as much as we can in the staff development area, operating capital, long-term facilities. Now, having said that, we can't make up things there. Like, they have to be qualifying things there. So if they aren't, it won't come out of here and it will come out of our unassigned. We always zero out learning, development, gifted and talented, and basic skills. Safe school levies, we're going to push everything through there and use all that money, but we've worked with Pat on that, so he's okay. He's up to date on that one. And then medical assistance, that is a harder bucket to use. It's for any non-qualifying special education purchase that is not eligible to be reimbursed by the feds or the state is what we can run through there. So if you don't have any of those purchases, then you can't use that money. So I don't have us using all of that money because it's really hard to use that money. So, but if, say there's something big we need, maybe you need a bus, maybe you need 17 desks, you know, and SPED won't cover it, we can take it out of here if it's for special education. So we do have some money there. So then that left us only going down from 5.89 to 5.26, 5.26 in the unassigned fund balance, which is very low. It's 811,000, but again, this is a preliminary budget. And the one more thing is this does not include, because I don't do this until after the audit, this does not include if we have to do a fund transfer between community ed and general fund, okay? So we are saying we're going to deficit spend. Not as much anymore, thank you, Beth, but we are going to deficit spend. If that is what the audit shows, we will have to add another 143,000 on this, so we will be closer to 660 in deficit spending. I want to do a revised budget 1 in October because I want to see audits done. We've got a better handle on the numbers from the state. We still don't know if we're getting our Title II money at all from the feds. Right now they put a fake number in there for us to use, just so we can have the functionality of MEGS. So there's answers we don't have. Answers to questions that we have, they don't have the answers for. So I want to do a revised budget in October so that we can true this up more, and then we'll do another revision sooner, maybe January, depending on what, we think January, February. And then if we need to do another, we can do as many as we want. So that's the plan.
And I would strongly recommend that you try and do the budget revision in January. The earlier the better, because then we can start looking at, you know, staffing, what do we need there? What does it look like our trends are gonna be for student enrollment, et cetera.
So the percentage of our fund balance on this projection is what, 5.26?
5.26. Go all the way to the top.
And our goal is between 5 and 12.
I would love to be at 10.
And will you be able to put this out through the next budget year to see what our projected fund balance might be with that other adjustment?
I will update this on the 5-year plan, yes. Now that I have these budgets done, I will update this on the 5-year plan.
Thank you, Julie. And just off the record, sorry, Wade, I'm interrupting. You go ahead.
No, I'm in the middle of a thought now. Go ahead.
So organically, will we be able to recoup this within the next 2 years?
Well,
Do you think we can sustain?
We have made changes in the office to make sure that those numbers are reported how they're supposed to be reported.
Okay.
So that I am very comfortable with that. That's going to happen. Because now we all know, you know, everybody knows. We've done things where we're tracking enrollment differently. We're having a enrollment study done. So that's going to help. Those dollars then will come back. So this will be the 1 year of not having that 313,000. There's still going to be adjustments because we're not going to be perfect. Every school has adjustments.
Right.
But we should not see that big of an adjustment because our numbers should be closer.
Great.
Yeah.
That's good news.
Yeah.
And, you know, with losing the students, and this is a tough spot the board gets put in. And through everyone wanting what they want and doing those things and making some of those choices, ideally we had talked to begin with that we should be cutting about 200,000 out of the budget, and we're not quite there.
We're not close to
Not
being
even
there.
close to being there.
No, and that's what I said. I've said that a couple times today. You know, I am doing what I'm, you know, being told to put in here, and you guys have heard me many times through this year and last year saying we have to keep right sizing. We have to keep making sure that we're spending wisely because things are happening. But if we don't do that, then these are the budgets we're going to get. And so, if we say we want to try to cut 200,000, but we only cut 76,000. That's what we're doing, but then we have to make the budget work by doing that.
Right. And that's one of those things where when we set the target at 200,000 and we didn't cut it, that compounds in year 2. And so now, you know, my rough estimate was now it might be 350,000 we have to look at. You know, it's not going to be that drastic, but I'm just pulling easy numbers. But that next year, it takes more because salaries go up, other things happen, you know, and we're going to have some attrition so that if we just, you know, if we get a retirement, we'll probably have some attrition going through the district, but it probably won't be the level.
And then this year we're getting 2.74 that we're going to survive and live on, 2.74. Next year we're getting 2. Right. So now we're losing that 0.74%. That's not us, that's the state, you know. So then we have to remember we have to account for that. We can't spend it all this year because next year we're going to be 0.74 less.
And, you know, as we look at this, and we talked about special ed transportation, what is it we figured that we were going to, it was about 95, that we were going to have to find somewhere in special ed transportation? 75%?
Oh, yes, yes.
So that's 95, you know, between special ed transportation and light rail to Duluth from the cities. That's what ended up being used to fund unemployment. Okay? Now, that happening, they took it from, you know, special ed transfer. So now we have to, it's not really funding it, it's just a good tagline for legislature to say, and it's their spin so that they look like they're being great.
Yeah, look what we did.
But it's coming from, you know, it's robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Mary too.
Yeah.
I think Mary got robbed too. Yeah, and that's the hard part, you know, just like when I talked about the different aids they gave us last year. Well, now they're cutting one of the aids in half this year. And so we depended on that to cover that, and we spent that money. Now this year, we had to take it back out of the unassigned because they're taking it away from us. And that's what's hard for all of us, the board, the administration, the teachers, every single person in the school district, the students, is that they gave us the money and then they took it away.
Right. Gotta advocate.
Mm-hmm. As always, if you have any other questions, let me know. Let Wally know. Or Mindy, while she's here yet, they'll come to me and ask me. I'll get it back to them. They can let you know. But any questions, please.
Thank you, Julie.
Anything at all.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, those are both the balance sheet and the budget update, the legislative update from MSBA. You kind of already heard these.
We talked about that a
We
little
got that
bit.
one
This is
too.
another one that you could just click on. There's a larger document.
Okay.
This one, ISD model policies, because of the legislative changes, there are about 12 policies that will need to be updated, several of them before August. And so my gut feeling would be that these are in here now. We'll make sure that you see them, and then and see what the changes are, and then these would be the ones that you could, these are substantive updates. So these are the 12 that are going to have some major changes. These ones up here are more numeric, technical updates. So, and those should be coming out through MSBA shortly. Terry had told me at one of the meetings I was at with him last week that they should have them by Thursday or Friday of last week. I still haven't seen them yet, so I think they're just a little bit behind. Maybe even Thursday or Friday. Can I add one more thing? I forgot. I'm sorry. I said I was going to say this, and then I never went back to it. But I did want to say that if you go back to my FY26 adopted budget, that community ed then in FY26, if you go down to their section, go down a little bit, right there, yeah. So we can see we're at only 29,000 deficit spending. So she worked really hard on making sure she right-sized her areas and got the revenue where it needed to be and the expenses down, because it was both revenue and expenses adjustments, and we got down to 29. So that could be, actually, that's a really easy number, that really could be flush by the time that FY26 audit's done. So I just want to make sure I point that out too. Because,
Thanks, Beth. Now we just need every area to work that hard.
Okay, sorry about that. No, that's
Okay.
Mindy, on the policies, is Mandy still working on reformatting those? Like you said, I would work on those, but you guys wanted them formatted a certain way.
Yeah, she's going to be working on them. I just, like I said, she's been out. She was on vacation last week and Monday, and so she's doing some catch up right now to try and get all of this out, and then.
Well, my request is just that she does the red line on them, and she doesn't just take the adopted policies.
Yes.
A lot of these policies have independent. Yes. Individualized stuff in them, and when you just take the new policy, you lose everything that we've had before.
Yeah. And we figured out how to do that in Google.
Wonderful.
So there's a way we can compare those documents. I thought that was really cool. So.
It is cool.
Okay, so I think that's it for all the informational items.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Can I ask a question about one of the items?
Yes.
Well, move to approve.
Second.
It's been motioned to approve into second. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, Brandon.
What does it mean proposed to settle within the legislative guidelines for district office and non-affiliated staff contracts?
That was the one I had an issue with in this as well. I just feel like there's still some language that we work on, so I cannot.
This is for non-affiliated contracts. It's what Julie just talked about. So the legislature's settled, and these are the a non-affiliate, so this isn't a union,
Sure.
you know, this isn't the teachers. What Julie told you, 2.74 or 2. And so the legislative guidelines or parameters are those numbers. So within those numbers. So, and I guess I'm just looking to get that, I put it in there because I'm trying to get non-affiliated contracts done before June 30th.
Are they up? Are they?
Yes, they're up on June 30th.
And technically, they're not a contract.
No, it's an agreement.
It's just an agreement, so that we use that word, and sometimes that applies to the union ones. These are basically the office staff that are at-will employees.
So what you're saying is that you can't legally, or it's just guidelines offer more than the 2.74% raise?
No, I'm not saying legally. The
Just the
legislature said this is how we get 2.75 the first year and 2 the second year. And so what I'm asking the board to approve is that I work within that dollar amount and don't go over it.
For the increases for those staff.
Yes.
And there are individual conversations with each of the staff with this? Okay.
There will be.
Okay.
I need to know what my parameters were.
12 days.
Huh?
You're
Oh,
gonna do
yeah.
it.
I've already had some, but.
Okay. Yeah,
And
it just
these-
was weird.
Are
I
they
didn't know that.
all the same amount of percentage, or do?
Each
are
of the
they
contracts
individual?
would go with the same amount.
And you were proposing the time off changes that we discussed earlier?
That's what I'll be working on, yeah. Because we talked about that earlier.
We've got a negotiating committee, right, for the district office staff?
No.
We don't?
No.
We used
It's
to.
not a union.
No, it's not a union.
So it's something different where it's an at-will employment thing, so it's an employment agreement. It's like you could go into your boss and ask for a raise. It's not part of an bargaining unit.
So the contract is not up on June 30th?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it's
not a
the end date to this agreement is June 30th, 2025. It went from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2025. And so the next one, it's a 2-year. That's why I'm saying, looking at what we got in year 1 and year 2.
It was a great question, Ryan.
Yeah.
It was okay.
She has.
So, the question, I guess, posed back to it is, coming from this, do we still want
Don't
this
get ahead of
included in
yourself,
here?
Langan.
I think, and I'm going to try to paraphrase what Mindy said. This is just giving her this ability to have parameters moving forward. There's a number of the different language things that still need to be worked out.
Correct.
So,
Motion stands.
okay. You can vote on it as you will now. Any other discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing no more discussion, we'll proceed to vote on the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
We have one Darcy going nay.
I have to do one more off the wall for Mindy before she leaves.
Exactly. Keep me on my toes.
Nay. Okay. Motion for the consent agenda passes. Action items. Secondary school bathroom project.
No attachment.
Are we?
Pat, did we have attachments for that you gave Randy, or
No,
would they?
I don't know what I was supposed to do, because what we discussed was what, I can put stuff up on the computer. You got that LTFM planning sheet?
Let me
then bring it back
clarify
for
something.
July.
If we put this to the July meeting, would we still be fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
So can we amend
Move
the agenda
to
motion?
July.
Second.
Well, we have a motion to move and second the secondary school bathroom project to July. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We are moving the secondary school bathroom project to the July meeting. Snow removal bid in June.
Early bird. Well, who do you think we should go with, Pat?
Second.
The second one?
The time and material That's what I would suggest. Last year, we only had probably 5 or 6 swim balls, so.
And that's what we've done in the past.
We've done that in the
Zinke
past.
does a really nice job of itemizing what it is, and it's a good rate.
I just don't wanna, I'm not gonna, we've had 5 or 6, you know, and then next year we could hit
Right.
15, 20, but.
Okay.
And it's Zinke again? I thought he was retiring.
It's his company.
Oh, okay.
It's,
Gotcha.
I'm not sure what the transfer was there.
Okay.
Do we have a motion for Zenke's?
So moved.
Eric Morgan, motions for approval of Zenke's. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, Danielle, seconds.
Poke in the house.
Brandon, I'll let you come back for a second on something else. All right, any other discussion on the snow removal bid for Zenke? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Zenke has our snow removal bid.
We saw the adopted budget.
We did see the adopted budget. Is there any other questions on the adopted budget? Okay. I guess I need a motion at this.
Move to approve.
Move to approve for Nicole.
Second.
Move to approve the adopted budget by Nikki, seconded by Darcy. Is there any more discussion? I'm looking forward to the next one after that to see how that
So am I.
that revenue
Yeah.
is adjusted,
So
because
am
I'm running a little blind and I'm nervous with that what's happening there. I think
Yes.
we all are. So
Yeah.
Godspeed with that.
That's what's horrible about having to have this by June 30th, or you cannot do business as a school. And then the state doesn't decide until June
Yeah.
16th. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of adopting the fiscal year 26 budget, motion by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Fiscal year 25 revised budget number 2. Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Nikki,
Second.
seconded by Brandon.
Nice.
Is there any discussion?
One quick question. I remember several years ago we bought into a solar farm, and we agreed to, up to half or so many $1,000s of our monthly bill was going to be, spent on this solar farm. So in essence, we're going to spend too much on our electricity for 3 or 4 years, but then we're going to lock in our rates after that, and we're going to make money. Anybody keeping track of that? Or,
I can't answer it right now, but I can get you an answer.
Okay. Yeah, be great to check into.
Yeah.
You writing that down?
Yep.
Dr. Dana? Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the fiscal year 25 revised budget number 2 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is moved to adjourn and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying,
got it in.
Yes, Nikki.
I would like to thank Mindy for
Oh,
the last
yes,
3
good
years.
point.
It's been
Yes.
wonderful. It's
Thank
been
you,
an
Mindy.
honor and a privilege to work with you.
Yep.
Whoever has you next is blessed to have you, and we're back here if you ever need us.
There you go.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Now we may adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Bye.
Good job, Nikki.
Glad it's back.
Good save. He got excited.
He gabbled
You don't like the gavel.
Okay, do we have any papers that haven't been signed or Wade needs
Oh,
to sign?
hey,
I
okay.
have papers, and I have a question on one of them.
Okay.
Nice.
And then
Oh, yeah, I'm not a huge
Yeah.
fan.
Okay.
So I don't know. Are we still paying T-ball right now? But this is just supposed to be.
Let me grab
Well,
my glasses,
yeah.
I won't be able to tell what it says.
Yep, that's all right.
And that's also exactly what you did, so thank you for Title II, it's rolled in, and all.
What's our Excel? Oh, yeah, what's the Excel in?
Check our message now, which makes sense, because I've gone through and like allocated things based on the financials. So now this is still a little bit lower number, or that one,
It's election.
in the budget.
It's the,
That the error message is coming up is essentially that. It doesn't have a reallocate button or anything like that.
For Amazon or yes, whatever. MSBA,
Or, you know, probably have to run it.
I mean, they gotta pay for a drink, you know.
But then,
I'm sure it's for the, for I'm not sure, but I'm guessing.
because to me,
Years ago.
all right, so pass the message. Bye, everybody.
No.
Good night.
Wallace, good to see you. How's everything going with the licensures and everything?
So,
He's got 'em.
So I got them. Actually, we're in negotiations. I got the email, so I have the superintendent license all done. So,
Do you feel any different?
I'm relieved because I put in all that. The paperwork packet you have to put together is, there's a lot of things you have to put together. I got that.
Well, I think I know what you're talking about. Is it?
I know, but hearing tells me, this last Wednesday, I'm like, okay, come on here, what am I gonna hear from them? So it was a.
That's step one.
Make sure you got
Yes, step 4. Okay, so.
I was like, oh, we're kind of twinsies today.
Again.
Conflict with my wife. I do. I mean, I took this other thing too at work. I just always, just like, because I have to.
That means after, so we write those numbers down.
Yeah,
Sure. And again, I am glad because I'm not the target.
so I'm actually a junior too.
I can't go on Saturday. I got
My family that went.
Oh, hey.